Hi, thank you all for joining me today. My name is Ms. Nita. Today I will be demonstrating the wet work. I'd like to begin by showing you a styrofoam that I've outlined that you may know how to section your mannequin. At the top, roller placement. On your left, skip waves. Right, brush waves. The baseline of pin curls. The back of the hair, the remaining part, will be finger waved with a pin curl in the shaping at the opening end. Of course, the styrofoam has the same type of shape that your mannequin has. I also would like to introduce the tools that we will be using to execute the wet work. This is our setup: wide tooth comb, tail comb, all-purpose comb, detangling brush, clips, water, applicator bowling brush, gel, roller clips, pin curl clips, and you must use yellow rollers. Bringing the mannequin, I've already gelled it for the sake of time, and also I already have sectioned the roller placement area. At this time, I'm going to prepare the hair by making sure everything is detangled before we begin our roller placement. I like to begin with the roller placement, and I think this is the easiest way to execute when we're doing our wet work. Place the roller on the bridge of the nose, bringing it up, making certain that the roller is centered by parting on each side. Once you have it at the front of the hairline, you want to part behind the roller. This allows you to have the correct amount of hair on the roller. Detangling the hair. The first roller is an on-base roller. It's held at an angle at a 45 degrees. Making certain that you have the roller secured where it can slide up the hair shaft, making sure that it's very smooth on the roller before you roll it. Keeping your position of a 45 degree. Watching my fingers as I keep it smooth. Using the roller clip, again, the roller clip, not the pin curl clip. It's two different types of clip. Securing the base of the clip to the scalp, centering the other piece of the roller clip inside of the roller. If you need two rollers, that's fine. You can use two rollers. The second one is half base roller. Again, parting behind the roller, making certain that you have the correct amount of hair. This roller is positioned at a 90 degree, straight up. Notice the comb, if you're not familiar with the degrees. Smoothing the roller up the hair shaft, keeping a position because it makes a difference. Make certain that you have that roller at the correct position. Notice that the gel allows everything to hold nice tightly in place. You want that. You want to make certain that you have enough gel. Securing the roller clip at the scalp and in the center of your roller. Third roller, placing it behind the previous roller. Also parting behind the roller once you put it in place. Separating the hair, detangling it. This roller is an off-base roller. It will be held at 180 degrees, similar to the first one, but 45 degree backwards. I always say that so you all can have an idea what that 180 looks like. Smoothing as you go down, rolling the hair. Now, once you get in the area, you always want to prepare the hair behind it once you get in the area of going into another section. So you want to make sure that hair is detangled and nicely smooth. I'm going to take my yellow roller here and section out two more rollers. Taking another yellow roller, and I'm just going to section out two more rollers My next roll is going to be a directional shaping in a roller. Placing the roller behind the previous roller, sectioning it off. Make sure your partings are very nice and neat. All that makes a difference when you're doing your phases. Sectioning it, this will be for my directional shaping in a roller. I'm going to take another section, and this section is for my baseline, which consists of 3 pin curls. Now the reason why I do that, it makes it much easier to do after I've done my skip wave and the other remaining part of the weft. Okay, I've sectioned that area. Now I'm going to turn to the left. The skip waves are always done on the left. When you're doing your wet work, you also have to make certain that you have every technique in the correct location. If you don't, that's going to be a problem. It won't be correctly done. Even if you've completed it, it must be, the skip waves must be where the skip waves are designated to be. Now, I want to bring something to your attention before I continue with the skip waves. The skip waves, they must be done on diagonal angle. And this is what diagonal looks like right here. If you have them straight up vertical, that's incorrect. They must be done diagonally. So therefore, when you're getting ready to create your ridge, a skip wave is a combination of a ridge, finger wave, and pin curls. So we want to create our ridge just as we're getting ready to execute a a finger wave, holding our finger diagonal. And it works best if you have enough gel. If not, it's going to come loose. Let me add just a little bit more gel in there. I thought I had some. That's why it's good to have everything set up you need. In case you have to add a little bit more, it's right there at your fingers. Notice how I'm doing the C shaping. When I get around my rollers, I want to flatten this comb to make certain I don't mess anything up. Holding my finger diagonally, and I'm creating a ridge. As I do that, I'm telling you, this gel really helps it maneuver much easier. And I'm taking a small portion at a time. I'm not using my whole comb. I'm not dragging it. And you want to make sure you don't use up a lot of space because you're going to have to make 2 rows of this. So let me go back up here. And you want your work to be neat. It's not just the fact that you have it done, it has to be neatly done. Now, that's my ridge. And that's a pretty good ridge. And that's the way a finger wave ridge should look. As I begin to start my pin curls, I'm going to slice on an angle. I'm not parting. No parting is involved anymore. We're finished with the roll placement. This area should be sliced. So as I'm slicing, I want to bring it down and separate, then prepare the hair behind it. Comb it through. Notice how I'm holding the fingers before I get ready to make the circle for the pin curl. So now I'm going to start my pin curls. I'm holding it with my index finger and my thumb. Using my index finger of my other hand, you cannot put any of your tools down, and make the circle. If there's a tail right there, you want to make sure you smooth it in with your gel. It should not be hanging out. No fish hooks. Placing it directly behind the ridge. Now when I'm anchoring the pin curl, I'm going to go over the top and through the circle, making sure that I catch some hair at the scalp where this pin curl won't move. Holding my ridge again, taking another portion of hair, and you want to take like the same size so your pin curls can be the same size, ladies and gentlemen. Smoothing that tail in, rolling it up, and they must overlap. Over the top and through the circle. Again, the same. Now if your mannequin takes more than 4 or 5, that's fine, as long as it's not going down the ear. Okay, executing the pin curl again, overlapping it. When you have enough gel, it'll allow you to overlap and actually hold this pin curl and put it where it needs to be. Over the top and through the circle. And this is going to be my last one. Piece of hair. Executing my pin curl. Making sure there's no fish hooks or tails hanging out. And when I mean fish hook, that piece of hair will create a fish hook. If you were doing a style on your client with finger waves, it will come out of the fish hook if you don't have that circle complete. Now, flattening the comb, making sure that the hair has been detangled so I can do my second skip wave. At this time, I'm making my second row of skip waves. Skip waves are always done in 2. Holding again, my ridge, beginning to execute my first pin curl, placing it right behind the pin curl. Place the pin curl right behind the ridge. You always have to make sure that hair is prepared behind it because you're going to do another technique with the remaining part of the hair. Pin curls are very important to know how to do, and it can really help you execute more styles other than the skip wave. I'm anchoring it over the top through the circle. Now this hair has to be maintained because that's the part, the back section is going to be my finger waves with the pin curl in the shaping. If you all have forgotten what goes where, rewind and go back to the styrofoam. I had all that sectioned out for you. Sometimes it can get a little tedious, but don't despair, stick with it and complete your task. And this will be the last pin curl behind the ridge of my skip waves. Over the top and through the circle. Notice that my pin curl clips, everything is all even. Now, once I complete that, I'm going to turn to the right side to start executing the brush wave. Now, this area on the right side are the brush waves. You have to do your directional shaping, which happens to be a C shaping. I'm slicing, not parting. Notice what I'm doing with my comb. It is not a part. When doing your brush waves, they're looking for which direction they're going in. So I'm making the pin curls just as I did when I was on my skip wave side. But as you can look here, I'm leaving some of that hairline smooth where they can see what direction I'm going into. Again, I'm going to anchor the pin curl by going over the top and through the circle. Slicing. As you notice, I'm starting right behind the pin curl, not going beyond that. Because the point of it is to get the same portion of hair, meaning the amount. Smoothing the hair. They want to see that direction of what you're going into. And this direction is counterclockwise. It's the opposite way from the hands on the clock. You want to anchor, overlapping over the top, through the circle. Your pin curl clips, if you catch that hair at the base of the scalp, it will not be a problem having it stay secure. And about 4 or 5 of these depend on the size of your mannequin's head. But again, you do not go over the ear with anything. With any of your techniques, it does not say cover the ear, so please don't. Over the top, I'm overlapping, over the top, through the circle, anchoring. And all of these, if I may stop for a second, are vertical. These are up and down, straight up and down. No angle to the brush waves, which are done on the right side of your mannequin. Once you've gelled this mannequin, I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, that gel is going to help you execute your work much easier. And as you can see, I don't have an excessive amount. If you have any on your mannequin, in the end, just wipe it off. But try to work neatly. If something like this happens, don't be alarmed. Just go back and secure it. This is why we practice these things before we actually go to stay bored. So if we have little mishaps, we won't get upset about it because we already have been trained how to do these techniques. And most of the time, from practicing often, you'll be finishing ahead of time. You're not allowed to put any of your tools down. If you should drop something, just giving you some heads up, go with more than enough combs because they do practice sanitation. Once you get there, before you get there, make sure you have everything clean. Now my second row of my brush wave, because I'm going to have 3 rows, I went counterclockwise, meaning to my left. At this time, I'm doing my second row. I have to leave enough space between them. I'm also slicing again. And if your work gets a little dry, you have to go ahead on and wet it, because you want this to work easily for you, and these are the things that you have to do to make that happen. Once I've sliced, now I'm preparing the hair behind it. Again, these are the brush waves. And you want to make them the same size. Now you see how I have that space there? I have it here in the front, at the front of the hairline in the beginning, and I have it here in my middle section. They will be looking to make sure that they don't have to try to figure out anything. It's supposed to be an easy read once you complete your mannequin. Overlapping them, being mindful of the amount of hair that you're using. And again, this wet work technique that we're doing is 30 minutes. They give you 30 minutes for it. When you're doing your pin curls, it has to be an open pin curl, nothing tight. All your pin curl clips going in the right direction. Preparing the hair behind. And when you do these things, as I said before, practice makes it close to perfect. Now there's a technique also called ribboning, where you can take your comb and smooth out the tip with your thumb and the base of your comb. That's actual technique as well. It's called ribboning. Over the top, through the circle. And my last one. See where I'm stopping when I'm slicing? I'm not slicing way back here. I'm stopping right behind that last pin curl that I made. All of these things makes a difference. This is why I'm sharing it with you. That's why when you're watching Miss Nita videos, it's called Learning Easy in a Minute. It may not actually take a minute, but you get the point. That it's not going to take you a long time if you practice and execute these little tricks that I'm showing you. Now my third row, I'm going to go back in the same direction as my first. That middle row should always be opposite. So now I'm going to go back in my counterclockwise position, shaping my hair, molding it, slicing again, smoothing it out. This lays to the scalp. It's not anything that's puckered up. Now I could use a little bit more gel. So you all remember that this actually is supposed to be laying to the scalp. Preparing my hair behind it. If you do not prepare that hair behind, you're going to have a situation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as I said, if it gets kind of tricky for you, sometimes you got to stop and go back and smooth it out. But if you're using that right amount of gel, I can pretty much do all of these in place. You see that? That's how significant the gel is. And let me tell you, you can do this. You can do it. A matter of patience and a matter of constant practicing. And once you've gotten it down pat to where it looks good, then you can start working on your minutes. Again, it's 30 minutes. Overlapping. It's nothing that you can rush and do and have it look good. When you see that people have learned how to do this, it takes a little patience. And I am a professional cosmetologist instructor. I've been doing this a while. And I'd like to think if you would share any conversation with my students, they'll let you know. I'm pretty patient. I'm pretty patient with them. And they are with me as well. We're a team. Over the top, through the circle. Now making sure that everything's in place. And you see, sometimes I have my students have, oh, well, I had to do that last one because of this. No, you have to cut it off at a certain point. You see how all of these are basically at the same level? That's the way it should be. And I'm doing my last row counterclockwise as I did my first row. Giving me a little, as I said, you got to get some gel sometime. Got to be a little patient with it. Over the top, through the circle. Making sure everything is in place. Now that's my brush plate. At this time, I'm going to turn to the back section of the mannequin. The remaining part is going to have finger waves. Making certain that everything's detangled. Positioning your mannequin to where you can best execute this means do it. Add a little more gel because sometimes that gel needs to be added from the time that it takes to do the other techniques that we've done. Holding your work where you don't mess it up. At this point, I'm going to start my finger waves. And I'm only using a small portion of the comb. Small portion. I'm not dragging it like this. This allows me to take each piece that I'm executing into a finger wave. I don't want any holes or anything there. So as I get ready to go on this side, in the opposite direction, I want to cover that hole before I begin going in the opposite direction. You have to manipulate the hair, meaning making it do what you need it to do. So I'm finger waving it, being mindful of my work that I've previously done. And as I said, as you get more familiar with it, it'll be quicker. And this extra hair here, you don't need that. You can cut it off. The less hair you have, I think this should be maybe about 4 to 5 inches. I think 6 inches, it'll be a little too long. But about 4 to 5 inches should do it for the wet work. And also, when you're doing your wet work, since you have this long hair on here, past the nape area, you're going to have to make sure that you've styled it completely. I will cut it if I were you before. Going back, making sure your ridge and everything is complete. Because at skateboard, you cannot leave it not styled. So if it's there, you have to make a style of it. And this is pretty much what I always tell my students to do. But really, you should cut it off. And that way you won't have that to worry about. Just as if you wouldn't leave your client's hair half done, same thing with your man-bags. Same thing. Now, this is my pin curl, my baseline that I'm going back that I sectioned out earlier because I had to finger wave this area. When you're separating your 3 baselines, make sure that the hair is the same amount. You don't want to have a little stream of hair to create a pin curl and a big piece of hair for the remaining part. And my first pin curl is an on-base pin curl, all the way on. My second pin curl will be a half stem. The third one, making sure you're not messing up anything that you've previously done. Okay. And I want you all to stay tuned for more videos that I'm going to have regarding skateboard. When you clip these, clip it at the base so they can see your work. At the base, over the top, through the circle. Now this last remaining piece, this is called directional shaping in a roller. Again, a little more gel. And it's just the shaping. It's just the shaping. So you would do the shaping just as you would do as if you're going to execute a finger wave. Now once you've done that shaping, you can hold this. This is one of the most awkward areas. This has to be in a yellow roller because it's part of your roller placement. We just did it last just for the sake of having it out the way to do those finger waves in the baseline. So I'm going to make sure it's lying smooth on the roller and roll it forward. And you don't want any gaps or anything. That's how you have to know how to use your tools so that can have a complete curl on there. If you roll it with the gap, it's not going to be a nice roller curl once it's dry. Now this is one of my little tricks that I do. I take the comb, I lift it up to put that shaping right back in the top. Now making certain that I don't use a pin curl clip, using the roller clip, and also making certain that I do not clip any of my baseline of my pin curls or my brush waves or skip wave. Now, the last thing that we have to do is what I mentioned earlier, the pin curl and the shaping at the open end. So at this time, I'm going to go Add an open end and pull out. The thing I'm doing is creating a pin curl again. You notice I had not put my comb down the whole time. And you place that pin curl right back in the shaping, an open pin curl. You can see it? It looks very nicely right there. And I'm going to anchor it over the top and through the circle. That's the way that's done. If you have a little time left, you want to make certain that nothing's hanging. I can touch this up a little bit to make sure that looks nicely. Going on the side, removing the gel if they got any in. At this time, I've completed the wet work. As you can see, we'll begin with our roller placement in the center. On our left, skip waves, 2 rows of skip waves. Turn into a right. 3 rows of alternating brush waves. My baseline, which is on base, half stem, full stem, finger waving the remaining portion of the back with the pin curl in the shaping. That concludes my demonstration of the wet work. Thank you all for tuning in, and please see me and tune in next time for more easy tips to state board faces. I'm Miss Nita. Thank you.